Good afternoon, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are here to bring you live coverage of a story we covered yesterday, and we want to bring you the latest updates on it. There are now multiple reports that suggest that Russia shot down a civilian airliner, assuming if they did, this would presumably be an accident. It's an airliner that crashed in Kazakhstan yesterday on Christmas Day. It was flying from Azerbaijan to Russia and was supposed to land in Grozny, Russia, but then ended up having an emergency and diverting its course and flying across the Caspian Sea and crashing about 2 miles from an airport in Kazakhstan where it was trying to make an emergency landing. As we told you yesterday, a number of experts had said that the evidence did not seem to agree with Russia's explanation that a bird strike had brought down the plane. And a number of experts we had talked about yesterday said that when they looked at the photos and video of the plane, the evidence to them suggested that anti-aircraft fire had brought down the plane. And we're hearing more and more reports like that now. So we wanted to bring you an update on the story, take your comments and questions on the air. At Lookner on X is where you can reach me. Russia at this point has not said that that their air defense had brought down the plane. But we wanted to bring you the latest updates on this. As of yesterday, 38 of the 67 passengers were believed dead, and that is still the number I'm seeing today, that 38 of the 67 passengers and crew, total people on board, had been killed in this crash. So let's get into some of the updates. We'll take your comments on the air and go from there. And you can see there's a headline there from Reuters. We'll get into this. Russian air defense is downed Azerbaijan Airlines flight, sources say. By the Sea thinks Russia would never admit to it. So let's see here. I want to thank our moderators for being here. We have, hold on a second. We have Ruth Krafasi is moderating. Beth Mythical is moderating. Carms is moderating. Sarah55 is moderating. Roberts May Queen over there on YouTube. Thank you. Linda Belk and Larry moderating over there on X. On Twitch, Idaho Star, Surly Dev. Big Ball of Yarn, Mick Bridges, thank you. And Smelly Cat for the bits on Twitch. Thank you to Smelly Cat. And also over there on YouTube, I want to thank our moderators over there. If you give me 2 seconds here. We have on Facebook, excuse me, on Facebook moderating right now. We have right now, let's see here, Margaret Riley and Kay Lowry Body. Ronald Egnor moderating over there on Facebook. Okay, give me one moment here. All right, so let's get into some of the details. And thank you, by the way, to our members over on YouTube, including people like Robert Schneider and AM Coffee and Oliver Hernandez. Oliver has been a member for 41 months. Wow, thank you, Oliver. And also AM Coffee for 36 months. So nice of you. And thanks, Captain Jerry Donnelly, for your support. Captain Jerry Donnelly thinks it got shot down over what Captain Jerry Donnelly says is the heavily defended city of Makhachkala, and then diverted over the Caspian Sea. That's what Captain Jerry Donnelly thinks. Thanks also to, thanks, Captain, and thanks also to Sean C., our member for 34 months. Thank you. You know where I'm going to start with this? I'm going to start with the flight radar flight page. And just to go over for people who might not be familiar with the story, this is the Flight Radar 24 flight page for this flight. And what you can see on the bottom there That's the picture of the plane. It's an Embraer. It was an Embraer-190 AR aircraft. It was flying from Baku, which I think is the capital of Azerbaijan, to Grozny in the Chechen Republic of Russia. But it ended up crashing all the way across the Caspian Sea, about 2 miles away from the airport in Aktau, Kazakhstan. So this plane, it was going along towards Grozny. It had made it most of the way towards Grozny. You can see it was near these towns of Kaspisk and Makhachkala. Captain Jerry Donnelly just mentioned that town there. So this plane was, you can see on the flight track here, it made it to about there. And that's about, I want to say about, 40 minutes into the flight there? That's 4:24 a.m. UTC. Yeah, so about 40 minutes into the flight, it was it was going towards Grozny. And then it disappeared from flight radar. And according to Flight Radar 24, there was GPS jamming going on in the area, which could have interfered and made it not be trackable, as I understand it. By the way, GPS jamming is something that countries sometimes do when they think they might get attacked. So I know Israel has done it recently, and so it can. GPS jamming messes with the GPS. So, for example, an incoming drone can't use GPS to locate a target. So there was GPS jamming going on in the area. But the flight disappeared off tracking here, and then it reappeared here across the Caspian Sea. And at this point, this flight, it reappeared about 20 minutes before it crashed. And according to the Kazakhstan government, already at this point, the flight had declared an emergency and had asked to make an emergency landing over here. So this is the end of the flight here, where the flight had already said they're going to try to make an emergency landing and was having issues. And something else to point out, I believe this data is accurate, by the way, because I've read and watched some about this, and I believe this is accurate data. So this here is the last 20 minutes or so of the flight. And what you're seeing there is the yellow line is speed and the blue line is altitude. And you can see all of those fluctuations in the speed and altitude at the end. I've heard and read a number of experts say something like this. I watched a video by an expert who goes by the name, the YouTube channel of Blanco Lirio, I think it is. Is that Juan? I think his first name is Juan. It's Blanco Lirio is the channel. Am I right about this? Blanco Lirio, BLANCOLIRIO. And Blanco Lirio is a channel. It's done by an aviation expert. I have watched his videos about other aviation incidents. I believe he is a widely respected guy. He always seems to get it right to me and be very responsible and knows his stuff. So he actually did, he did a video that I watched yesterday where he explained why he felt that this plane had been shot down by air defense. But one thing he said is he looked at the video of the plane and he looked at the data, and he said that he thought the plane had lost its hydraulics. And that the pilots basically couldn't control the plane, and they were fighting for control of this plane. But what you can see at the end is, and he pointed this out too, this data at the end with the speed going up and down and the altitude going up and down. So again, you can find this over at Flight Radar 24. That's the last 20 minutes or so. Sam Patton says Juan is a former USAF pilot and current commercial pilot. Hold on a second here. Okay. Michu Chia says he's a very credible source. I've watched him for over a year. Sprint Cars and Guitars says he's a pilot also. By the way, he's not the only report. There's plenty of reports out that say that a Russian air defense shot down this plane. That's one example of somebody who I watched talk about this in detail. I posted the link to his video yesterday. You can go watch it. But you can see right here, Reuters is reporting Russian air defenses downed Azerbaijan Airlines flight, sources say. But I mean, I read you articles yesterday where in the articles, the different news outlets would interview aviation experts and they would say things like, no, this flight path does not look like what would have happened if this was a bird strike, as the Russian government says. We'll talk about this, but a number of experts talked about looking at the perforations, the holes in the plane. You can see some pictures right here. I'll show you close up soon. And they said, look at those perforations. That's not from a bird strike. That looks like it's shrapnel from an air defense missile. So, we were hearing stuff about this yesterday, and now you're hearing more reports today saying that it was an air defense missile that would have brought this plane down. But again, we're going to talk about this in more detail. Thank you, Kitty Cat, for being a member, and Sheps, our new member, and Wendy Knudsen and Cat Lover, our member, and PZ Papa Zulu for the gift memberships, and Dodger Blue for being a member. Thank you. And Sean C for being a member. Let's see here. So we're going to give you some updates. We're going to take some of your comments on the air. Kyle thinks hydraulics weren't hit. It was the vertical stabilizer that was hit. Look, I'm not an airplane expert, but somebody like Juan at Blanco Lirio is, and he says the evidence suggests to him that the plane lost its hydraulics fluid. Something I believe he said in his video was that the plane would have 3 different type of hydraulics controls, but if you lose and any one of them would be sufficient to control the plane, but if you lose the hydraulics fluid, then none of them will work. I'm going to show you what some other experts have to say as well. Gala says it looks like bullet holes of some kind. Yeah, so from what I understand, an air defense missile would explode and release shrapnel. Which could cause holes like this. Mitchhook Chia, our viewer, says Blanco's theory is air defense missile shows holes in the fuselage that cut the hydraulic lines for trim functions. Oh, why did they do it? Bubba Gump said. So, in case you didn't see the stream yesterday, so the theory I have heard from multiple sources and experts is that so it's widely reported that that the area that the plane was flying to and flying through in southern Russia was an area that has been recently attacked by Ukrainian drones. Even yesterday, there were reports of Ukrainian drones attacking in southern Russia. So the thinking is that maybe Russian air defense was on the lookout for drones because drones were being used against Russia in this area and maybe mistook this plane for a drone. Or maybe a missile fired at a drone hit this plane. But this was an area in southern Russia that had been recently, even yesterday, subject to attacks from Ukrainian drones. So I haven't seen, none of the reports that I've seen suggesting that this was Russian air defense have suggested this was an intentional act. The theory is that, the working theory is that this was an accident and very possibly Russian air defense that was looking to take out drones. Emily Brooks said, why didn't Russia close their airspace? So I can't speak to that. You know, there were I'm going to read you about this, but we talked about yesterday, one of the articles we read said that I believe the airport closest to where this airplane I think, declared an emergency or diverted. That airport in Russia had been closed for several hours yesterday. Okay, let's talk about one of the articles here, and then we'll take some more comments from you guys on this. Oh, and by the way, KP says they tried to land 3 times but could not because of fog, and on the 3rd time they got hit. So that I'm not sure about, but there's unconfirmed reports. I don't know where these are coming from, where the original source is. I've seen some unconfirmed reports claim that Russia would not let the plane land in Russia. Now, I don't know if that's true. There seems to be a theory floating around among some, and this is not well sourced, that Russia wanted it to maybe not, that Russia realized what it did and didn't want to let the plane land and made it go over to the Caspian Sea, I guess in the hope that it would crash in the Caspian Sea. I don't know that that's true, and I don't really have good sourcing on that right now. It's a theory I've seen on the internet some today, but I don't have a reliable source yet saying that Russia wouldn't let it land in Russia. I don't know, but I just want to mention that. But as of right now, I have not seen reliable sourcing about that. But I do want to point out that if you look at the flight track here on Flight Radar 24, you can go to flightradar24.com and search this flight and find this flight track. But, it takes off from Baku in Azerbaijan. It's flying toward Grozny, Russia. Something happens. It goes off of radar coverage here, and by the time it's here, about an hour and 20 minutes later, it has already declared an emergency and is asked to land all the way over here in Aktau, Kazakhstan. So somehow it happened that the plane, something happened, it had some sort of emergency, and then it asked to land over here. So why it was asking to, there's some reason that it flew across the Caspian Sea. Maybe, maybe it thought it was too dangerous to land in this area. I don't know. But there's some reason it flew across the Caspian Sea. But if you zoom in here, so we talked about this yesterday, this figure 8 pattern. So Juan, from the aviation expert from Blanco Lirio channel, if I'm remembering his video right, he said that this showed that the plane tried to land. This is the airport right there. He said that this pattern showed that the plane tried to land, it couldn't do it, and it was going to come around and make another pass at the landing, but it crashed, just near the coast here as it was coming around again. That figure 8 pattern. Okay, this was Azerbaijan Airlines plane, an Azerbaijan Airlines plane. So let's talk some more about some of the details of this. Yes, this was a commercial plane. It was Azerbaijan Airlines flight from Baku, Azerbaijan to Grozny, Russia. Blissful Essence says, why would they try to land it in an area of hot activity? There had been problems with enemy drones there. So there is this question about, planes flying in these areas where there have been drone activity and anti-aircraft fire. So, it's a good question about when they let these planes fly and don't fly. Obviously there's going to be people who want to go in and out of these areas. Maybe there's people who work in both places, who have family in both places. But I think it's a reasonable question to ask, when should these planes be allowed to go in and out of these areas? Where there's air defense fire going on. But this plane, I don't know the details of that debate. Okay, let's talk about some of the details of this. As you can see here, Reuters has an article today. Russian air defenses downed Azerbaijan Airlines flight, sources say. Oh, and just, before we get into this, as part of our summary here, I do want to show you a couple photos just to get everybody on the same page what we're talking about. Here is a shot of the plane. That is from Reuters. That is from that article. Now you can see that the back half of the plane is still largely, I mean, it's certainly heavily damaged, but it's still largely intact. The front did not survive intact. There's a whole other wreckage area with a lot of burned stuff there. But some people did walk out of this wreckage. It's crazy. 38 of the 67 people on board were killed. And you can see the water is back here. This plane crashed right near the water, only about 2 miles from the airport it was trying to make a landing at. But this was, a couple hundred miles all the way across the Caspian Sea from where it was originally supposed to land. So I just want to show you that photo there. And I also want to show you a couple others, which we'll talk about in more detail. Oh, hold on a second here. Hold on. We'll show you a video in a little bit. But the photo I wanted to show you is... Yeah, these are some close-ups here. These three, and we'll talk about this more, but these are photos of the plane and these holes in the plane. And a number of experts have been saying for yesterday and today that these holes suggest that they look like shrapnel from an anti-aircraft missile. And these are some close-up photos of holes in the plane from Reuters. We didn't have the close-up photos yesterday. We had some more far-away photos. The caption of these photos in the Reuters article is, a view shows the damage in the wreckage of the plane. Yeah, that's what it says. All right. Let's talk about some of the details, and we'll take some comments from you guys. So Reuters is reporting Russian air defenses downed an Azerbaijan Airlines plane that crashed in Kazakhstan, killing 38 people. 4 sources with knowledge of the preliminary findings of Azerbaijan's investigation into the disaster told Reuters on Thursday. So Azerbaijan is doing their own investigation. This is an Azerbaijan Airlines plane. So again, Russian air defenses downed an Azerbaijan Airlines plane that crashed in Kazakhstan, killing 38 people. 4 sources with knowledge of the preliminary findings of Azerbaijan's investigation into the disaster told Reuters on Thursday. Flight J28243 crashed yesterday in a ball of fire near the city of Aktau in Kazakhstan after diverting from an area of southern Russia where Moscow has repeatedly used air defense systems against Ukrainian drone strikes. The Embraer passenger jet had flown from Azerbaijan's capital Baku towards Grozny in Russia's southern Chechnya region before veering off hundreds of miles across the Caspian Sea. It crashed on the opposite shore of the Caspian Sea after what Russia's aviation watchdog claimed was an emergency that may have been caused by a bird strike. Relatively soon after this accident, after the crash, the Russia Aviation Watchdog government group claimed that there had been a bird strike. But a number of experts had said they didn't think there had been because of the evidence of how, for example, how the plane flew. Officials did not explain why the plane had crossed the sea. The nearest Russian airport on the plane's flight path, which is Makhachkala, was closed Wednesday morning. Now, was it closed because of drone strike going on or whatever? But again, the nearest Russian airport on the plane's flight path, Makhachkala, was closed in the morning. This plane was flying in the morning. One of the Azerbaijani sources familiar with Azerbaijan's investigation into the crash told Reuters that preliminary results showed the plane was struck by a Russian Pantsir-S air defense system. The plane's communications were paralyzed by electronic warfare systems on the approach into Grozny, the source said. No one claims that it was done on purpose. However, taking into account the established facts, Baku expects the Russian side to confess to the shooting down of the Azerbaijani aircraft, the source said. Now, if this was indeed a Russian air defense missile that took down a plane flying into Russia from Azerbaijan, will Russia admit this? That's a whole other question. I don't know. According to the Reuters source says that the government in Azerbaijan expects the Russian side to confess to this. We'll have to see what happens. 3 other sources confirmed that the Azerbaijan investigation had come to the same preliminary conclusion. Russia's defense ministry did not respond to a request for comment. A U.S. official told Reuters today there were early indications that a Russian anti-aircraft system may have struck the plane. Canada said it was deeply concerned by reports that Russia air defense may have struck the aircraft. The Canadian Foreign Ministry said, "We call on Russia to allow for an open and transparent investigation into the incident and to accept its findings." The Kazakhstan Deputy Prime Minister said he could neither confirm nor deny the thesis that Russian air defenses downed the plane. Asked about the possibility that Russian air defenses shot at the plane, the Kazakh transport prosecutor for the region where the plane came down said the investigation had yet to reach a firm conclusion. The Kremlin, asked before the Reuters report about the idea that the aircraft had been shot at by Russian air defenses, said it would be improper to comment until the inquiry was concluded. It is wrong to build hypotheses before the conclusions of the investigation, said Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov. I'll read the rest of this in a second, but I want to take some of your comments. And let me show you another picture of this, and I'll take some comments from you guys. What happened to... Oh, there it is. There's a picture of the wreckage, well, part of the wreckage scene from Reuters, from that article. And by the way, thanks to Janet Burnett for the gift memberships, and Kitty Cat and Sheps for being members. All right, let me take some comments from you guys. Joni Ferris says, why would they do this again? The working theory that I've seen is that this was an accident, and that, again, this plane was flying in an area which had been attacked by Ukrainian drones before, and Russian anti-aircraft fire to shoot down drones had been active recently in this area. And the theory is that this was an accident where anti-aircraft fire that had been trying to shoot down drones accidentally shot down the aircraft. That is the theory. Kaltenberg thinks it's the definition of an accident. Jennifer Ellers, it was headed towards Grozny in southern Russia. It was almost there. J-Dog says Russia will try to blame Ukraine. Queso thinks Russia is busy editing the black box data. I don't know if Russia has the black box. The black box has been recovered according to Kazinform, which I think is Kazakhstan state news. But they reported yesterday that the black box had been found. I would think the Kazakhstan authorities have it. Now, I know, I believe Kazakhstan and Russia are close, but I don't know how involved the Russians are in the Kazakhstan investigation. And do the Azerbaijanis have direct access to the black box data? That I don't know either. Estes Flask said Russia never admitted to MH17. They won't admit to this either. So what Estes is referring to is you can see the Wikipedia article. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was a scheduled passenger flight from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur that was shot down by Russia-backed forces with a surface-to-air missile while flying over eastern Ukraine in 2014. The shoot-down occurred during the war in Donbass over territory controlled by Russian separatist forces. Okay, so that's what, if you want to read about that, you can go to the Wikipedia article. There's a whole article about that. And I don't remember, is that something where Russia never took responsibility for it? I don't off the top of my head remember. I don't want to get too off on that, but I can do a little check here and see if I can find out quickly. Let's see here. Where is it? Where was I going to go? One moment. One moment. Where is it here? In a 2020 article, it said, and by BBC, it said Russia has denied any role. So I can tell you, as of 2020, Russia hadn't admitted the shoot down. Oh, even in a 2023 article, in the conversation, it said, I believe that Russia has not admitted anything for that, but I'm not sure. Let's see here. I think this article says that. I don't want to get too far off on MH17. Anyways, I'll let you do some research here. I think this article from the conversation in 2023 says that Russia has not cooperated in the investigation into MH17. I think that's what it says. Anyways. Yes, Russia has refused to accept responsibility. That's from last year. All right. Anyways, let me take some more comments from you guys and get you some more updates on this. You can reach me at Lookner on X. Richard3384 says the YouTube channel Military in History with Torsten Heinrich explained it very well, including video source during the flight inside the airplane. So I haven't seen that video. There is video from inside the airplane. There's video and photos that appear to show a life jacket that has been punctured by shrapnel that came into the plane, holes in the plane from shrapnel or from some sort of projectile puncturing the plane. Also, somebody, I believe, with an injury from stuff that punctured into the plane. Cynthia Master says, if someone is willing to fly over a war zone, then they must expect they might not survive. NY committee says Azerbaijan has an even closer alliance with Russia. Even any truth is going to come out. It's going to be from the Kazakhstan side. I do wonder, though, if there might be political pressure in Azerbaijan. If the Azerbaijan public doesn't buy that it was like, say, a bird strike, and then there's going to be pressure on the Azerbaijani government to get a different answer. And you know, if Russia wants to say, oh, we had nothing to do with it, and the Azerbaijani public is just not buying that, well, then there's a political cost to, and if the Azerbaijani government does think that this was a Russian air defense missile, there's a political cost to the Azerbaijani government of just going along with what Russia says. No time for this today says that's going to be a hard sell. And a number of the passengers were from Azerbaijan. Where is, I can tell you how many, if you give me 2 seconds here. Just give me a moment. If I can open it. Is it working? There it is. So I need to just translate this. Where's the this translate thing? Isn't working well for this. Oh, I know why. So according to the Kazakhstan government, what they said is that, oh, I'm in the wrong article here. I got to find the other article that they posted. Sorry, I had the article yesterday. I'm trying to find the right article of the breakdown of who was on the plane by nationality. According to CBS News has this. I read it yesterday from Kazakhstan government. They say that 42 of the people on board were Azerbaijani citizens. So like about 2/3 of the people on board were from Azerbaijan. I'm going to show you a video in a moment. Hold on. Cryptic Doodles thinks if it was shot, you would have seen smoke and fire in the footage before the plane came down. So, from what I understand, for example, the aviation expert Blanco Lirio talked about this in a video yesterday. What he said is that the air defense missile would be a proximity missile that is designed to blow up when it's close to the plane, and then basically fire lots of shrapnel. So the idea is that it would fire a lot of shrapnel into the plane. And a number of experts have said they've looked at the holes in the plane like these and said that looks like shrapnel from an air defense missile. To show you the close-ups here of some shots of the plane from Reuters. Shots of damage like this. Xylee says that's how an air defense missile works. Matthew said a bird did that. Our viewer, Gritting Litter, says that looks like it's coming from inside out. Again, I'm not an expert, and I'm certainly not an expert enough to look at pictures and know where projectiles are coming from, but I can say a number of experts have looked at this evidence and said it looks to them like damage from a air defense missile. By the way, thanks to Jorthio, who thinks aviation in Russia will only get worse, drones, aging, and sanctioned fleets. And thanks to Brainstorm Warning for the shout out on Twitch. And I want to thank our moderators again who are with us as we cover this. Big Ball of Yarn, Cerrero, David Green, McBridges, and Surly Dev on Twitch. On Facebook, Paul Anderson, Margaret Riley, Kay Lowry Body, Ronald Egnor, Linda Belk and Larry on X, and Ruth Krafasi, Beth Mythical, Roberts May Queen, excuse me, Sarah 55 and Carms on YouTube. So I want to get to this video I'm going to show you in a second. But just to, again, show you an example of some reporting from today, Reuters says that 4 different sources with knowledge of the preliminary findings of Azerbaijan's investigation into the disaster have told Reuters that Russian air defenses downed an Azerbaijan Airlines plane that crashed in Kazakhstan, killing 38 people. Just to show you something here, footage shot by passengers on the plane. I know some of you have probably seen this. I don't have the rights to this footage. I have seen the footage from the plane. Footage shot by passengers on the plane before it crashed showed oxygen masks down and people wearing life vests. Later footage showed bloodied and bruised passengers climbing out of the plane. There were 29 survivors. Also, there is footage, apparent footage from inside the plane and pictures which show what appear to be holes in the plane before it crashed, and also a life jacket that has apparently been pierced by something coming into the plane, like shrapnel. Somebody with an injury, with bloody person on the plane that looks like they had been hit by something that came in from outside. Though there's photos and videos of that too. Pictures of the plane wreckage showed what appeared to be shrapnel damage to the tail section of the plane. Aviation security firm Osprey Flight Solutions said in an alert to airlines yesterday that footage of the wreckage and the circumstances around the airspace in southwest Russia indicated the possibility that the airliner was hit by some form of anti-aircraft fire. And again, if we look at these pictures here, oops, sorry, I'm going to show you this whole video in a second. I don't want to take that out of context. We'll show you that in a second. So you can see here, there's the remainder of the plane there in blue, and the stripes are on the tail part there, right? So there's a close-up. I believe that is from the tail section. See the stripes, dark blue and then lighter blue? Yeah, see, I believe that's from the tail section. That damage there. You can see the picture of it right there, the plane. But see, that would be from the tail section there. All of that, all of those holes in the plane. And then that as well. I just want to show you a little more of this. Ukrainian military drones have repeatedly targeted Russia's southern regions in recent months, triggering Russian air defenses. Again, this plane was flying in an area where recently there have been Ukrainian drone attacks and Russia has been using their air defenses. Russia and Ukraine have been at war since Moscow's invasion of its neighbor in February 2022. Earlier on Wednesday, yesterday, the day the plane crashed, earlier on Wednesday, the Russian Defense Ministry had reported the downing of 59 Ukrainian drones over several regions. Some were reportedly shot down in closed airspace over regions bordering Ukraine. Flight operations were temporarily, reportedly, suspended at Russia's Kazan airport due to the activity. In addition, hold on a second here. In addition, it says at the bottom here, if I can show this to you. In addition, publicly available ADSB flight tracking data shows the Azerbaijani aircraft experienced GPS jamming throughout its flight over southwest Russia, the alert said. Russia uses advanced electronic jamming to confuse Ukrainian drone location and communication systems, and a large number of air defense systems have been deployed to shoot down those drones. So my guess is that's why the flight disappeared from the flight radar when it was over southwestern Russia here. So again, here's Russia, here's southwestern Russia. This is the the Flight Radar 24 flight path for the flight. It starts out in Azerbaijan. It flies towards Grozny, Russia. Around here, it disappears off of radar. And then over an hour later, it's now over here, all the way across the Caspian Sea, and it has asked to make an emergency landing here in Aktau. And it ended up apparently doing a pass toward the airport for some reason. Apparently the plane was having control issues. For some reason did not take that pass and circled back around and looked like it was heading toward the airport again when it crashed here near the water. And as I mentioned earlier, if you look at the Flight Radar 24 data in the last 20 minutes or so, you see these inconsistent swings in the speed in yellow and the altitude in blue. Apparently, that plane was hard to control. The aviation expert Blanco Lirio in his video yesterday said he believes the plane lost its hydraulic fluid when it got damaged by an anti-aircraft missile and therefore could not be properly controlled. Could this spark a conflict? Well, I mean, off the top of my head, I would think it would need to go, there would need to be something else to spark a conflict. The allegation, and a lot of these reports we're hearing are not that anyone did anything intentionally. It's that, that this would have been an accident. Not to say that there wouldn't be blame to go around, but no one is accusing Russia of shooting this down intentionally. Now, someone might say, well, they should have better control over their air defense. Or someone might say, well, the plane shouldn't be flying there. I don't know. But again, no one I've heard, I have not heard any kind of what I would consider a reasonable accusation that this was done intentionally. Thank you, by the way, to Bob NL, our member. Thank you to Urs Wiesendanger, who I think is in Switzerland, who says a bird strike alone typically doesn't cause an airplane to crash unless both engines are severely damaged by the impact. Engine failure from a bird strike would be accompanied by visible smoke from the affected engines. Thanks, Urs. I saw a quote today, and I'll try to find it here, from an expert who said that with a bird strike, we might have read this on the video on the stream yesterday, but I remember an expert saying with a bird strike, the plane wouldn't lose control. It would impact the engines, but it wouldn't lose control. Anyways, I'm going to show you some more expert analysis of this. MCPPD5 says, how many accidents do we need before they are accountable? Thomas Darwin thinks they thought it was a drone. Helen says it is not the first time that Russia is suspected of shooting down a passenger plane. Again, the accusation is that this is an accident, but hold on one second here. So we talked about MH17, Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 in 2014. What is this one? Siberia Airlines Flight 1812, October 4th, 2001. Wikipedia says it was a commercial flight shot down by the Ukrainian Air Force over the Black Sea en route from Tel Aviv to Russia. That's a different thing. The aircraft had 66 passengers, 12 crew members. The crash was caused by a missile launch during joint Ukrainian-Russian military air defense exercises at the Russian-controlled training ground of the 31st Russian Black Sea Fleet Research Center. And that was, Ukraine eventually admitted that it might have caused the crash, probably by an Aran S-200 missile fired by its armed forces. Anyways, if you want to read about that one from 2001, you can go to Wikipedia. Kathy Shaw says, accident or not, flying in or near a war zone is no bueno. Maybe I can, in a second, show you this video. Again, there's a picture from the Reuters article. Our viewer, Benny Wilson, says, lots of guesses, many of them sound plausible. I think we need to wait for what hopefully will be an honest investigation. Kerry Pitsop Spencer says, looks like the holes are from the inside out. Again, I'm not an expert enough to know that. I can just tell you that numerous experts have looked at the damage and said that they thought that this looked like damage from a missile, from an air defense missile. Oh, by the way, the article did say, this article from Reuters, Russian air defense is down to Azerbaijan Airlines flight, sources say. The article points out, what does it say here? It says that one of the Azerbaijani sources familiar with Azerbaijan's investigation into the crash told Reuters that preliminary results showed the plane was struck by a Russian Pantsir-S air defense system. Now, I wanted to show you something about that. Pantsir missile system. Wikipedia says the Pantsir missile system is a family of self-propelled, medium-range, surface-to-air missile and anti-aircraft artillery systems. The Pantsir S-1 was designed to provide point air defense of military, industrial, and administrative installations against aircraft, helicopters, precision munitions, cruise missiles, and drones. Etc. So if you want to read about that, you can go to Wikipedia. This is a Pantsir S-2 system picture from Wikipedia there. That's from Vitaly Z. Kuzmin. That's a Pantsir S-2. Chip says birds are not going through steel. going to show you this video in a second. Where is that? There's that. Oh, this video has some stuff from inside the plane too. Okay. I need to stop it at 1. I want to stop it around 110. I'm going to play you that in a second. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's see here. KP says there's another video right after the crash of people trying to get out. Lots of people not feeling their best. It's incredible. I mean, it's incredible that some people walked out of this. Sarah says shrapnel could have gone straight through the tail. I think you're looking at the tail right there. Fred Flintstone says, I bet our FAA and military have a good idea what happened based on the pics. Don DeCare says they refused to allow it to land on land, so it would most likely crash in the water, making the investigation on what caused the crash that much more difficult to respond or impossible. Yeah, so I talked about that before. I have not seen good reporting on that. As I mentioned, there are what I would call rumors online. I'll see if I can find anything more than that. But so far, I've just seen rumors online claiming that Russia would not let the plane land in Russia and basically made it fly across the Caspian Sea. And the rumor is that Russia did this hoping the plane would crash in the water. Again, I don't have good sourcing on that right now, so I just don't know if that's true. Paul Henley said, our viewer says, why did Russia continue to jam the GPS over the Caspian Sea? So I don't know that they did. That has not been confirmed. Clearly, this plane was not visible to flight radar until it got close to the Kazakhstan shore. But I don't know if that's due to GPS jamming or something else. Paul thinks that Russia was jamming the GPS over the Caspian because they hoped it would just disappear. No wreckage, no black box, no survivors, makes investigation impossible. That's what Paul thinks. Again, I'm not sure. Thank you, Paul, for writing in, though. Hypocrite Watch says, look at the survivor reports. Hypocrite Watch sent me an article from Turkish media, Anadolu Agency, which I think might be state media there. Yeah, state media in Turkey. And it has an article where it says, well, just to be clear, the source is Russian State Media RT. Russian State Media RT said, Russian State Media RT supposedly has an audio recording in which a survivor said the plane tried to land in Grozny, its original destination, 3 times, followed by an explosion outside the plane. And I haven't seen this video. Supposedly in this video, the passenger says something exploded on the 3rd landing attempt, and when he reached for his life jacket, he found a hole in it caused by shrapnel. And he said he was hit by shrapnel after the explosion. And he said there was fog. So I don't know if it's true that the plane tried to land several times in Grozny. And this person, I guess in this video, said that the explosion happened outside the plane and not inside. And a Russian outlet, Redovka, also said the survivor's girlfriend shared some texts, but that's not, it's kind of irrelevant to this. So again, yeah, and this survivor, I guess, supposedly, according to Turkish news, state news, said that this explosion happened outside the plane, and then shrapnel went by his legs and through the life jacket. So anyways, I mean, that would be an account consistent with an air defense missile going off outside the plane. I can't confirm the account. Thanks for sending that in to our viewer Hypocrite Watch. Oh, Marcel Kern also mentioned, I didn't even see this yet, I missed this. Flight Radar 24 says we've updated our post on this flight to include local pressure altitude corrections. So if you want to read it, there's a whole, I'm going to post a link to this. Flight Radar 24 has a whole blog entry about this flight. I've shown you some of the flight path information. I'll post a link to the blog. I showed you this from their page where it shows it was flying from Baku to Grozny, and then it disappeared from radar here, and then it reappeared on radar almost all the way across the Caspian Sea, requested an emergency landing in Aktau, Kazakhstan, and then crashed while trying to land. They say the flight departed at 3:55 UTC. Valid position data was received for about a half hour when the flight encountered significant GPS interference as it got close to Grozny. The plane stopped sending positional data altogether for about 12 minutes, then erroneous data. Then we did not receive any data for a while. And then they got positional data for roughly the last 20 minutes of the flight. I was showing you that as well. They say it has not been confirmed why the aircraft diverted across the Caspian Sea to Aktau. Weather reports for Grozny at the time indicated visibility at the airfield was 3,600 meters with low overcast clouds, but it's not yet known if that was a factor. Fair point. The data available for roughly the last hour and 10 minutes or the last hour and 20 minutes of the flight demonstrates variable altitude reports of plus or minus 8,000 feet dozens of times and oscillating ground speed and vertical rate values. The aircraft, for roughly the last hour of that flight, was unable to maintain consistent altitude and speed for at least 75 minutes of that flight. Photos and video from the crash scene indicate puncture damage to at least the left side of the vertical stabilizer. This is from Flight Radar 24. Then they have a representation here of the flight path with the plane going up and down. Again, they said for about the last 75 minutes of this flight, it had inconsistent, it was going up and down, and the speed was going up and down, and the altitude was going up and down. Kevin says that's a long time. Again, I'll post a link to this Flight Radar 24 blog. You can read it if you want. Thanks, Marcel, for mentioning it. Captain Country says that must have been terrifying for the passengers. I saw a video yesterday, which apparently was a passenger on board, like basically praying, and they showed people on board after the emergency happened on board. And very worried people. It's really difficult to watch, actually. Then right at the end of the video, they show a few seconds of the aftermath when the plane is like on the ground and part of it is still intact. Walk-in OSF says they were fighting the plane all the way through the Caspian Sea. I'm going to show you a video in a second. Marek thinks Russia did not shoot down this plane. Aaron Weirdo says flying near Russia is dangerous to your health. By the way, thank you to Blissful Essence for the memberships and Bob NL, our member. Uh, 38 are dead, 29 survived. That's the latest numbers I've seen. Awoken says no hydraulics, just engine power to fly. Mass V says there was onboard video. I have seen it. Look harder, Steve. Mass V, it's not a question of looking harder. It's a question of I can only show videos I have the rights to. I don't have universal rights and ownership to the world's videos. So I can only, it's not a question of me looking harder. It's a question of something called copyright law. But thank you to Mass V. Mass V thinks it was missile shrapnel. The holes are folding inwards. Okay, let me show you a video that Reuters put out about today about this. Put it up on the screen.
Showed oxygen mask.
Hold on. All right, here we go. Now, at the start of this video, this video is not going to show you bloody bodies and stuff like that, okay? So just to be clear, you will see at the start of the video a shot from the distance of the plane going down in like a fireball. That's why it says on the bottom, this video contains content. Some people might find it distressing because you are seeing that. So I'm letting you know, again, it's not a gory video. You know, there's no body parts and stuff like that. But just so you know, this is the topic we're talking about. So here is I'm gonna go through this video with you, and again, right at the beginning, you see a few seconds of the plane in the distance going down. So let me play this for you. Hopefully, we had a little playback issue yesterday. Hopefully that's fixed today. Let's see.
This social media video shows the moment Azerbaijan Airlines flight J28243 crashed in Kazakhstan on Wednesday, killing 38 people. 4 sources with knowledge of the preliminary findings of Azerbaijan's investigation into the disaster told Reuters that Russian air defenses downed the passenger jet, which was carrying 67 people. There were 29 survivors. One of the sources with knowledge of the investigation told Reuters, quote, "No one claims that it was done on purpose. However, taking into account the established facts, Azerbaijan expects the Russian side to confess to the shooting down of the aircraft." One U.S. official, speaking on the condition of anonymity, also told Reuters that there were early indications that a Russian anti-aircraft system may have struck the plane. Russia's defense ministry did not respond to a request for comment. The social media video shows the plane rapidly descending and flying erratically before ultimately hitting the ground and exploding into flames. Reuters also verified footage shot by passengers before the plane crashed that showed oxygen masks released and people wearing life vests. The plane came down near the city of Aktau.
Hang on 1 second here.
The president of Azerbaijan said a special commission had been set up and a delegation had been sent to investigate the disaster. On Thursday, dozens of people could be seen mourning at the Heydar Aliyev International Airport in Baku, which was a departure point of the flight that crashed in Kazakhstan. People were carrying flowers and paying tribute to the victims, as Azerbaijan observed a day of mourning.
You know, I want to go back for a second and point out a couple things here from this Reuters video. First is, you can see when this plane went down, Again, it's not a close-up of the plane going down, but you can see that there was a fire, and, you know, again, like the back part of the plane survived largely intact. So maybe the front hit first and was just destroyed. I don't want to play this a million times, but just to show you again, you can see the fire as it's making this landing here, this crash landing.
28243 crashed in Kazakhstan on Wednesday.
So it's sliding across the runway there, and you have a fireball. Jazzy Renee says the front took a lot of the impact. True Blunt says nose always hits first and gets shredded. But about half of that plane survived fairly intact. And then you also see, it's incredible, there's footage of a person literally, looks like maybe they're injured, but they're walking off the plane. See, there's the back part of the plane. Right there. And there's some of those holes in the tail. We have close-up of that, but see the holes in the tail? Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't on a runway. My bad. This was not... My brain stopped working. This is about 2 miles away from the airport. Yes. So as the viewer said, it was not on a runway. It was on the ground. It was not on a runway because it was about 2 miles away from the airport. Sorry about that. But I also wanted to show you this. There's a guy who walks out. That guy right there, I think, is a survivor, this person. Watch right here.
Knowledge of the investigation told Reuters, quote, "No one claims that..."
I think that guy was on the plane. Unbelievable. And then in this video from today, they had this shot from inside the plane showing that the oxygen masks had come down. Oh, there's this too. So this is a video from yesterday. There's another video here in this video that shows the plane rapidly descending. And so remember, I showed you that article from Flight Radar 24 that talked about for roughly the last hour of the flight, this plane it seems like they couldn't really control the plane. It was going up and down, these big up and down swings, and the speed was going up and down. So there's this part of the video right here.
Comment. The social media video shows the plane rapidly descending and flying erratically before ultimately hitting the ground and exploding into flames.
There's I think it's B&O News who posted it, but there's I think this is part of a longer video. But you see that plane going down and then up.
To a request for comment. The social media video shows the plane rapidly descending and flying erratically before ultimately hitting the ground and exploding into flames. Reuters also verified footage shot by passengers before the plane crashed that showed oxygen masks released and people wearing life vests.
Now, also, I think I saw one expert say something like the fact that the oxygen masks were down suggests that there was a pressure loss in the plane, which could have been caused by shrapnel, say, from a missile piercing the plane. Anyways, our viewer Aja says it's called phugoid motion. The same thing happened to United 232. Mag A. Podin said the landing gear seems deployed. Silver Serpent says the evidence is in the plane, they'll find it. By the way, I would think, now maybe I'm an idiot and I'm wrong, I would think if an air defense missile did cause the damage on this plane, I would think that's something that an honest investigation by experts could probably figure out pretty easily, right? Because I would assume, I'm just thinking based on what the viewer said, I would assume there might be pieces of the missile lodged in the plane. I mean, we know that there are these holes in the plane, and they can look at those close up. I mean, they have the tail section with holes in it. I mean, they have this. So they can look at that. They can do all kinds of testing on it. I would certainly think that experts could figure out what kind of thing made those holes. Thomas Darwin says yes, very easily. Wouldn't a missile make bigger holes? Again, from my understanding, hail in place, a proximity missile that exploded near the plane would send out a bunch of shrapnel. And again, I've heard another expert say that this is the kind of thing they would expect. I'm going to show you a different article on this. KP says, I think there's an in-flight video where the passenger shows a piece of shrapnel in his hand. Ellen Zen says, the evidence is good. Jazzy Renee said, sad. It is very sad. It's 38 people are dead. So, certainly, as I said yesterday, condolences to the families of the people who died and thoughts with those who were injured. I hope they all survive. Let me show you something else. This is a different article. So, as I mentioned, Reuters reports that Reuters says 4 sources with knowledge of the preliminary findings of Azerbaijan's investigation into the disaster told Reuters today that Russian air defenses downed an Azerbaijan Airlines plane. And again, they're saying it did it by accident. Now, AP has reporting that says aviation experts say Russia's air defense fire likely caused Azerbaijan plane crash as nation mourns. Here's a different report. So let me show you some of this. Hang on one moment here. Our viewer Mass V thinks this is not much of a mystery. The evidence is pretty clear. Black box survived. A lot of flight data recorded. Hydraulics were out, and data is consistent with that. Paulo Cruz said both pilots died. I would not be surprised about that. I don't think I've read that myself, but I would not be surprised given that, the back is still mostly intact, but not the front. Let me just check this. Hang on. Yes, according to Euro News, the captain and the co-pilot lost their lives in the crash landing. 2 flight attendants, the 2 flight attendants survived, says Euro News. Okay. Also, just so you know, Euro News, the news outlet Euro News reports that Azerbaijani government sources have confirmed to Euro News today that a Russian surface-to-air missile caused the crash. So Euro News is reporting this as well. And I was going to show you this. AP says aviation experts say Russia's air defense fire likely caused Azerbaijan plane crash as nation mourns. Aviation experts said Thursday, as I do this. Aviation experts said Thursday that Russian air defense fire was likely responsible for the Azerbaijani plane crash the day before that killed 38 people and left all 29 survivors injured. This plane was en route from Azerbaijan's capital to the Russian city of Grozny in the North Caucasus on Wednesday when it was diverted for reasons still unclear and crashed across the Caspian Sea while making an attempt to land in Aktau in Kazakhstan after flying east across the Caspian Sea. The plane went down about 2 miles from the airport. Cell phone footage circulating online appeared to show the aircraft making a steep descent, which we showed you, before crashing into, well, we showed you one descent it made, a steep descent before crashing into the ground and exploding into a fireball. Other footage showed part of its fuselage ripped away from the wings and the rest of the aircraft lying upside down in the grass. Let's see here. Speaking at a news conference yesterday, the Azerbaijani president said it was too soon to speculate on the reasons behind the crash, but said weather had forced the plane to a change from its course. It was weird. Yesterday, the Azerbaijani president said weather forced the plane to change from its course, and Russia said yesterday that the plane had been struck a flock of birds, which were different explanations. Russia's civil aviation authority said yesterday that the pilots diverted to Aktau after a bird strike led to an emergency on board. Authorities in Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and Russia were tight-lipped about a possible cause of the crash, but a lawmaker in Azerbaijan blamed Moscow. Rasim Musabekov, a lawmaker in Azerbaijan, told the Azerbaijani news agency Tehran that the plane was fired on while in the skies over Grozny, Russia, and urged Russia to offer an official apology. Those who did this must face criminal charges, said the Azerbaijani lawmaker Musabekov. He said compensation to the victim should also be paid. If that doesn't happen, relations will be affected. Okay? As the official crash investigation started, some experts pointed out that holes seen in the plane's tail section could indicate it could have come under fire from Russian air defense systems fending off a Ukrainian drone attack. Ukrainian drones had previously attacked Grozny, the capital of the Russian Republic of Chechnya, and other regions in the country's North Caucasus. An official in Chechnya said another drone attack on the region was fended off Wednesday, the same day of the crash, although federal authorities didn't report it. Here's an expert, Mark Z of OPS Group, which monitors the world's airspace and airports for risks, said that the analysis of the images of fragments of the crashed plane indicate it was almost certainly hit by a surface-to-air missile or SAM. Much more to investigate, but at high level, we'd put the probability of it being a SAM attack on the aircraft at being well into the 90 to 99% bracket. That is expert Mark Z of OPS Group. Osprey Flight Solutions, an aviation security firm based in the UK, warned its clients that the Azerbaijani Airlines flight was likely shot down by a Russian military air defense system. Osprey provides analysis for carriers still flying into Russia after Western airlines halted their flights during the war. Osprey CEO Andrew Nicholson said the company had issued more than 200 alerts regarding drone attacks and air defense systems in Russia during the war. This incident is a stark reminder of why we do what we do, he said. It is painful to know that despite our efforts, lives were lost in a way that could have been avoided. Another expert AP talked to, Yan Matviev, an independent Russian military expert, noted that images of the crash plane's tail reveal the damage compatible with shrapnel from small surface-to-air missiles, such as the Pantsir S-1 air defense system. It looks like the tail section of the plane was damaged by some missile fragments, he said. He said it was unclear why the pilots decided to fly hundreds of miles east along the Caspian Sea instead of trying to land at a closer airport in Russia after the plane was hit. Perhaps some of the plane's systems kept working for some time and the crew believed they could make it and land normally, he said, adding the crew could have faced restrictions on landing at another venue in Russia. And one more thing here. Caliber, an Azerbaijani news website with good government connections, also claimed that the airliner was fired upon by a Russian Pantsir-S air defense system as it was approaching Grozny. It questioned why Russian authorities failed to close the airport despite the apparent drone raid in the area. It's a good question. You know, if there was drone strikes going on around that time, if Russia was firing anti-aircraft in that area, why not close Grozny Airport and divert the plane before it even got close to there? The head of Chechnya's Security Council said air defenses downed drones attacking the region on Wednesday. Caliber, an Azerbaijani news website, also wondered why Russian authorities didn't allow the plane to make an emergency landing in Grozny or other Russian airports nearby after it was hit. Asked about claims that the plane had been fired upon by air defense assets, a Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, told reporters it would be wrong to make hypotheses before investigators make their verdict. Kazakhstan's parliamentary speaker also warned against rushing to conclusions based on pictures of the plane's fragments, describing the allegations of air defense fire as unfounded and unethical. 42 Azerbaijani citizens were on board, 16 Russian nationals, 6 Kazakhs, and 3 Kyrgyzstan nationals. Again, regarding that damage to the tail section, you can see they quoted an expert in this AP article saying, images of the crashed plane's tail revealed the damage compatible with shrapnel from small surface to air missiles. We showed you this in this article from Reuters here. Russian air defense is downed Azerbaijan's airlines flight. Sources say we showed you these pictures, close-up of the tail. That is damage from the tail section. These holes. All right, let me take some more comments from you guys. Larry Pickle Jarvis says, definitely looks like bird shrapnel. I think Larry might be joking. Messi says, Russian state claiming birds just hours after it happened says it all. Sam Newman says, LOL, rushing to conclusions, like it was a flock of birds? Fletch says, knowing what happened to their plane, not surprised they didn't want to land in Russia. I don't know if the plane didn't want to land in Russia or just, wasn't allowed to land in Russia. That we don't know. Here's another picture of that plane. Mass V thinks if it had landed, thinks we will know soon exactly what system hit it we might not have if it landed in Russia. Bex in Wonderland says the pilots are heroes to try and land the plane and save the people that were saved. It looked like they tried to correct the plane and do some type of landing. I mean, they were only 2 miles away from the airport where they wanted to do the emergency landing. The combat drummer thinks it is missile shrapnel. I Hear Cricket says those 2 pilots are heroes to have been able to land in a way that still saved many of the passengers in a crash like that so sad. Yeah, I mean, I think our viewer, I Hear Crickets, makes a good point here, that the pilots did bring the plane down in a way that we still have 29 people alive. So it's terrible that 38 people died, but we still have, over 24 people still alive. The pilots died. Rob Simpson says, where's the front part of the plane wreckage? So I've seen some photos and video of that, but I didn't show some of that because I had a couple photos or videos of the plane wreckage, but there were a bunch of covered bodies nearby, and I didn't want to show those pictures. So I have seen that footage. What I had, again, I was trying to avoid showing pictures of covered bodies, but there is definitely footage showing that other area of wreckage. Let me see something here. I don't have it handy right now, but again, I wanted to avoid showing that. Reuters says NATO calls for full investigation of Azerbaijan Airlines crash. Too much sauce of what would Russia benefit from doing this? The accusation is not that they did it intentionally. It's that this was by accident, and that they were trying to shoot down Ukrainian drones. J.K. Cone of a Kind says the front half of the plane did not make it. Guess where the survivors were sitting on the plane? F1 driver says that the surviving part is more than half the fuselage. NATO called for a full investigation into the cause of the crash that killed 38 people, says Reuters. Oh, let me show you another thing from an expert here from AP. This is a different article from AP. What is known about a plane crash in Kazakhstan as experts suspect Russian air defense fire? Some aviation experts say the holes seen in the plane's tail section pictured after the crash likely indicate it could have come under fire from Russian air defense systems fending off a Ukrainian drone attack. We read you this already. I thought there was a different expert in here. Oh, is this the same? No, I thought there was a different expert in this article, but I guess I'm wrong. Oh, no, there's another article with an expert I want to show you. This one here from the Washington Post. Tony's Place says it doesn't look very damaged for a down aircraft. Well, the other half was severely damaged. I mean, there's no, the second half isn't there in any kind of identifiable form. At least from what I've seen like a lot of just kind of burnt stuff on the ground. But there's not like an equivalent second half of the plane lying around. Thank you to Carol's Dark Sarcasm, by the way. Chaz says front half exploded. Sharkingly says the other part blew up, it's gone. I was trying to find, hold on a second here. If I had some sort of picture of the other part of the wreckage. Yeah, so look, let me just show you this real quick. This is from hold on. I'll show you another, a little shot where you can see some of the wreckage, but not like tons of bodies. So this is a video from this article, Azerbaijan Airlines plane crashes in Kazakhstan, killing 38. And this video, what you'll see is, I want to show you a specific part of it. So look at like right there. See, that's wreckage right there. See like right here? That's wreckage. But, you know, that's a lot of stuff, a lot of debris. But it's just a big jumble on. See, there's there too. See, that's plane wreckage that is just looks like it's been incinerated. That's from the Kazakh Emergency Ministry. Chaz says a bunch of tiny pieces of former plane. Pickleman says the front of the plane basically got ground to bits. Pell Smith says it's just gone. Mass V says you can see in some of the videos prior to crash landing that the flaps are not extended. Pretty clear they were on engine only with no surface control. How did they rule out it wasn't a Ukrainian drone that shot down the plane? I understand the question. I would think that you could there's probably evidence from what a Ukrainian drone would do to the plane, but also evidence about whether there was actually drone fire at that time in that area. So, you know, you would obviously need to rule that out, but I haven't heard any kind of what I would call an allegation backed by any kind of reasonable argument that that is the case, that happened. But yeah, I mean, you'd have to rule out alternative hypotheses like that. Artist Caverlin said, where's the front of the plane? I think right there you're looking at some of the front of the plane, if I have it right. Sirki says, drone would have destroyed plane in the air. It's definitely shelling on the plane, which are used by AD against drones. Again, from what I understand, this is something that the channel Blanco Lirio mentioned in their video. Blanco Lirio said that he believed this was a proximity air defense missile, which explodes near the plane or near the target and sends out shrapnel. Doesn't explode when it hits the target. Mike Prozac said, how would a drone even match a shrapnel pattern of a 2S1 of a pantseer? Again, I'm not an expert, but I assume we have a lot of experts saying, you know, I've looked at the damage, and that damage suggests that it is an anti-aircraft missile. What is this picture? Ooh. I was going to show you a different article. This was interesting, though. I didn't show you this picture. From this Reuters article, Russian air defenses downed Azerbaijan Airlines flight, sources say. There was an interesting picture, which is that they froze. See, that's right when the plane lands, before the fire. But that's like a freeze frame of the plane crashing. So it was all in one piece when it crashed. Joey says it split immediately. Yeah, that's a we watched the video. That's a freeze frame from the video, it looks like. Our viewer Gritting Litter says pilots really did do their best. Sharkingly says, interesting, the pilots did get the airplane flat. They did the best they could. Walken OSF said disintegrated. Ronnie Coleman says it came down way too fast and buckled the landing gears, then split up and exploded, and rolled over all at once. It's an interesting idea that Ronnie says, is that maybe it came down too fast for the landing gear. I'm not sure of that. That's an interesting idea. Let me show you here. I want to show you this. There was some expert quote in this article, or quotes. Authorities investigate Azerbaijan Airlines crash that killed 38. This is from the Washington Post. U.S. officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss an involving situation said that if the early indications that Russian air defenses may have hit the plane are true, it would highlight Russian recklessness in Ukraine. But where's the thing about the... some aviation experts and news reports suggest that damage to the fuselage, as seen in videos and images posted by authorities, could be the result of a surface-to-air missile impact. Open source intelligence analyst Oliver Alexander told the Washington Post on Thursday, everything I have seen points to a relatively small surface-to-air missile detonating on the port side of the tail, damaging the rudder and elevators. Also, based on the videos and flight path, a Russia-based aviation expert who spoke on the condition of anonymity due to fear of repercussions from authorities said images circulating of the plane showed high explosive fragmentation damage to the tail section, corresponding to elements left by the warhead of an anti-aircraft missile. That expert told the Washington Post, based on the combination of factors, since the pilots reported only one impact in the area of responsibility of the Grozny airport, it was clear that it was hit by an anti-aircraft missile over the Grozny airport. The big question is why the airspace over it had not been closed, as Chechnya reported drone attacks that day. According to the expert, the damage was consistent with a relatively small missile, such as those from the Pantsir air defense system used by Russian forces against drones. On Wednesday, the day of the incident, Chechen media reported that forces in the region were repelling drone attacks, citing a local security official. The Russian Defense Ministry did not report the attacks. Oh, here's the thing about the survivor account. One of the survivors, Subhankul Rakimov, told Russian state media network RT yesterday that the pilots tried to land the plane in Grozny 3 times, but there was heavy fog in the area. Grozny was the intended destination. On the 3rd attempt, something exploded. There was an explosion. I wouldn't say it was inside the plane. Where I was sitting, the aircraft skin next to me flew off, he said, adding that he reached for his life jacket, which had a hole in it. A piece of shrapnel had pierced it. After that explosion, this piece of shrapnel landed somewhere between my legs. It pierced the jacket right through, he added. And one of our, Roger Shoemaker says, scary. But remember, this is like, I think roughly more than an hour before the plane crashed. Remember, this would be when the plane, if this is true, this is when the plane was near Grozny, near the airport, trying to land over here. And then after that, it flew over 200 miles all the way across the Caspian Sea and tried to land in Aktau. But the intended destination was here, Grozny. So if that's true, then, for the last over hour of the flight, people on that plane would have known something is wrong. Sam Newman says there's video of it. I think someone holding the life jacket, putting their finger in the hole. Jerry P. says no slats, no flaps, no control. All the pilots had were the engine thrusters. The hydraulic systems were disabled by shrapnel. Pensby Lad thinks it's the Russians. It's obvious. Wikibete says, wow. Omnigma says, had reported drone attack in the area that day. Here to Learn says, Blanco said gear was down according to video he saw. You know what? I'm going to post a link to Blanco Lirio's video. Because again, Blanco Lirio is a channel. It's an aviation expert on YouTube. I watch his videos all the time. He seems very reliable to me. From what I've seen of him, because I've watched numerous videos of his about various aviation incidents in the news, he seems to get it right. I mean, that's my memory of it, is that he gets it right. So he did a video yesterday called Shot Down Azerbaijan Airlines E190. And it's not a long video. It's about 6 minutes long. He might have done one before this, but I'm going to just post a link to the video, the 6-minute one he did yesterday, and you can watch it. But he shows evidence and he explains why he's thinking what he's thinking, and he says why he thinks that the plane lost hydraulics. So I'm going to put a link to that video in the chat right now, and you can watch it if you want. I just posted it. It's worth a watch. It's 6 minutes long. I posted it yesterday as well, but I think it's worth a watch. And I don't see him somebody with an axe to grind. He's not somebody who goes out of his way to, do anti-Russia stuff or pro this country stuff. He's really just talking about aviation incidents and what he thinks happened. Thank you to Captain Jerry Donnelly, by the way, who says, On a Wing and a Prayer describes a damaged warplane barely able to return to base. You can fly a long time damaged. Rick Hoppy says Blanco Lirio is solid. Federally regarded says so many videos on live leak showing passengers before and after the crash, windows peppered with holes and passengers bleeding in the air. Hypocrite Watch sent me an apparent video of what happens when a drone collides with a plane, but I cannot show that video on the air. You can go to RT on X to see that. Thanks, Hypocrite Watch, for sending that in. And Hypocrite Watch also mentioned when Iran accidentally shot down a plane. Was that 2020? Air defense? What was that? Yeah, this is right here, right? Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752 was a scheduled passenger flight from Tehran to Kyiv, Ukraine on January 8th, 2020. That plane was shot down by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps shortly after takeoff, killing everybody on board. Missiles were fired at the aircraft by Iran amidst heightened tensions between Iran and the United States. The incident occurred 5 days after the U.S. carried out the assassination of Soleimani and some hours after Iran retaliated with missiles fired at American-led coalition forces. The government of Iran admitted they had targeted the flight after mistakenly identifying it as an American cruise missile. That is from Wikipedia there. But our viewer, Hypocrite Watch, was pointing out, he said, a reminder of over-anxious defense systems taking down a passenger plane. Karen Moore said, did any of the crew survive? Euronews reported that the 2 pilots were killed, but the 2 crew members survived. Thanks, Karen, for writing in. Dan Campbell believes that holes might look like that the holes were made from the inside, because you could have a case where projectiles, for example, shrapnel, are entering one side and coming out the other side. That's what Dan says. Thanks, Dan, for writing in. Oh, Avia sent me this. I had heard about this. That El Al Airlines said it's suspending flights between Tel Aviv and Moscow. Where is this here? I might be able to get the press release from them. I can't find the press release. Yeah, so like Times of Israel said, El Al says it's suspending flights to Moscow for this week, citing developments in Russia's airspace. This comes after this flight was taken down. This flight crashed. Thanks for writing in about that. Eli mentioned that as well. Thanks, Eli, for writing in. All right. I'll take a few more comments here. But, oh, by the way, the Wall Street Journal says, the Wall Street Journal has a new report. And the Wall Street Journal, just so you know, says that the preliminary results of Azerbaijan's investigation point to the plane being hit by a Russian anti-aircraft missile, said people briefed on the probe. So the Wall Street Journal now is reporting that Azerbaijan has concluded that this was done by, that this plane went down due to a Russian anti-aircraft missile or shrapnel from it. And then the Wall Street Journal said, aviation experts said visible damage to the flight was evidence that it was hit by a munition. And then there's this question again. If this was a Russian missile, will Russia take responsibility for it? I might ask a poll question about that. But again, just so you know, that's what the Wall Street Journal is reporting. And I think the New York Times had a similar report. The New York Times said that 2 Azerbaijanis who were briefed on the Azerbaijani inquiry said to the New York Times that Azerbaijani officials believe a Russian Pantsir S defense system damaged the plane. And also the Times reported U.S. officials said there are preliminary indications that the plane was shot down by a Russian anti-aircraft system, most likely a surface-to-air missile. So my question to you guys is this. I'm going to do a little poll question right now. The poll question is, so you can answer this poll even if you don't think, maybe you don't think a Russian missile caused this. But if the plane was, if Russia accidentally shot down the plane, will they admit it? That's the poll question. If they did accidentally shoot down the plane, will they admit it? I honestly don't know. I'm going to post that and see what you guys have to say about it. Sir Key, I don't know yet if I'm doing a stream about the undersea cable that may have been damaged by a Russian-linked ship between, is it Finland and some other country? I can't remember the other country at the moment. Is it Estonia? I have to go do some research. It's possible we'll have a stream on that. I'm not talking about that on this stream, but we might do another stream on it. I need to get into it a little more after this myself, but it's possible. People are saying Estonia. It's very possible. I didn't want to do two streams on a stream on the two different things, so it's possible. Thank you, Captain Jerry Donnelly, for your support. By the way, Captain Jerry Donnelly says, "Fog of war accidents happen." Thank you also, Lucia Harizo, who says accidents happen. U.S. Navy shot down a passenger plane in 1988, Iran Air Flight 655. That's this one. Iran Air Flight 655 was a scheduled passenger flight from Tehran to Dubai, and it was shot down by two surface-to-air missiles fired by a U.S. Navy warship. The shoot-down occurred during the Iran-Iraq War, which had been ongoing for nearly 8 years. The U.S. ship had entered Iranian territorial waters after one of its helicopters drew warning fire from Iranian speedboats operating within Iranian territorial limits. Anyways, if you want to read more about that, you can go to Wikipedia. KP says that was a pretty bad incident. It took a while for the U.S. to admit responsibility. The U.S. was criticized for the downing, especially in its initial response, while not issuing a formal apology. President Reagan issued a written diplomatic note to Iran expressing deep regret. In 1996, both governments reached a settlement in which the U.S. agreed to pay $61.8 million to the families of the victims. As part of the settlement, the U.S. did not admit liability for the shootdown. Thanks for mentioning that. All right, let me show you the poll results. I asked you guys, I said, if this plane was indeed taken down accidentally by Russia, will Russia admit it? So over on YouTube, your answer on YouTube was 82% no. Most of you think Russia will not admit it. Even if, Azerbaijan really is convinced that Russia did it and has good evidence, you don't think Russia will admit it. Maybe they won't. I don't know. So most of our viewers on YouTube say no, and then on Twitch, even more say no on Twitch. 87%, 88% on Twitch say no. Kansas, has Russia admitted the downing of the MH flight? I don't believe they have. I don't believe it. But I'm not positive. Cosmic Leopard thinks anyone saying yes is delusional. 586 Smoker says find out more in a few days. I'll say this, though. Yesterday was like the day of the crash. And just to mention, again, I know I've mentioned this before, but just to say it again, the Blanco Lirio channel is a channel done by a guy who's an aviation expert. And It's a YouTube channel, and I watch that channel all the time for aviation stuff, and it seems like a very responsible channel, and the guy explains his conclusions very well, and I really do think he knows what he's talking about. The fact that he came out yesterday, and his video wasn't like, well, you know, some evidence suggests that maybe this is it. Like, the video is literally called Shot Down. The words shot down are in the title. My point is the fact that he was so definitive about what he thought happened yesterday suggested to me that there's pretty good evidence about this. Again, I'm not an expert, so I can't come to these conclusions. But it was a case where it was like somebody who knows what they're talking about. Yeah, literally the video is titled Shot Down, exclamation point. But the fact that he felt comfortable enough to just go out the hours after the incident and say, look, I'm looking, basically, here's the evidence. I'll explain the evidence, but I think it was shot down. That suggests to me that there's pretty obvious evidence there. It's not like he waited for a month. He's just like, he tells you his evidence that he's going off of. But that suggests to me that it's not in his interest. If he thinks like he's not really sure and like doesn't really have a good idea about it, it doesn't help him to make that video because he doesn't want to look stupid 4 days, a week later or 2 weeks later when it comes out that he's wrong. So that suggested to me that there was a good degree of evidence out there. Mark said he is a pilot. It's just, he's not, I don't think he's going to bother making that video unless he really is convinced. So it was interesting to see to me. Anyways, so most of you think that Russia will not admit it. Thanks for voting in the poll. Most of you think Russia will not admit it even if they accidentally did it. All right. Krakaloa says, when has Russia admitted to anything ever? Mick Bridges says, was a good video to watch. He explains it very well. Northwoods Hiker said he did not mince words. And again, there's plenty of other experts out there who say that's what they think happened. If you watch the video, he explains his thinking to you. And I haven't even watched it. He refers to another video there, which he thought he did good job. And I haven't even watched that video. I think there's a video by somebody called Dennis, Denys. Is that it? He talks about it in the video. Yes. So is this what it is? Is it Denis Davidov? Some of you might have watched it. Who looks like he's a pilot? I haven't watched the video. I think that's the one Blanco. Yes. So KP in our chat says Denis Davidov, who has a channel. It looks like he's a pilot. I haven't watched. I'll have to watch his video, but I believe that's the video that Blanco Lirio talked about it. Jacko says he is Ukrainian. Aja says he's also a pilot. So again, you can check out that channel too. Denis has almost 1 million subscribers. Denis Davidov, Davydov, Denys is Dennis. I'll have to watch that later. Mark Washburn says he's a Ukraine commercial pilot. Eek thinks his opinion is biased. Well, again, Blanco Lirio thought it was a good video. But anyways. All right. Thanks to Green Neck, our member, by the way. So I think what we're going to do, let me just do one last check here and see if I have any other update on this for you. That article has not been updated. Was this updated? Hold on. No, we talked about that. We talked about that. We talked about that. Okay. I think that's what I have for you right now. Okay, so anyways, we've been updating you on this, as I've been mentioning. There's a number of reports now saying that this plane was brought down by a Russian anti-aircraft missile, like this Reuters report. Russian air defense is down. Azerbaijan Airlines flight sources say, I will keep an eye on this. I think we're going to start wrapping up this stream right now, but I will post updates on my X account if I see them, and if there's big developments, maybe we'll do another stream on this. Also, we might cover some other news. I mean, there's other news going on with that undersea cable, so we may do a stream about that. I got to look into that, and I know there's been stuff between the Israelis and the Houthis. But I'm going to take a break right now, maybe eat something. But we might have a stream later on. I just have to kind of look into stuff. If you want to find out when we're coming on the air with these streams, subscribe and follow to this channel. Subscribe to and follow this channel, Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda, Agenda Free TV. And turn on notifications. We have a notification system. It works awesome. It sends you a notification whenever we're going live. I don't know in advance when that's going to be, but it's a free notification system. It works awesome. We do it through Discord. The mods will post the link in the chat for you right now. So make sure you sign up for the notifications. You can also find it in the description of this video on YouTube and Facebook, the notifications link. So sign up for the notifications. And as I mentioned, I will post updates on X. If I hear about this, at Lookner on X, you can follow me there for news updates. And who knows, maybe we'll do a different stream on a different story a little later on today. I will look into it. By the way, thanks to John1948 from New Zealand for your support. Thank you, John. And I appreciate you tuning in. I really appreciate people sending me comments and news updates, and also letting me read your comments in the chat. So thanks for participating. John Turpin says, maybe not Russia, but one of their proxies using a Russian weapon. Well, the thing is, it happened over, the reporting suggests this happened over Russian airspace. You know, so not like in Ukraine or something, or occupied Ukraine, which would suggest that if it is a surface-to-air missile, it would be from Russia. Also, by the way, John Turpin said that the pilot's radio that they had been hit. A good question, which some people were asking about yesterday, is audio from the aircraft. That's not been publicly released yet. I don't know what the aircraft was clearly in touch with air traffic control because they asked to do an emergency landing. It would be very interesting to know what the pilots were saying, but that is not, as far as I'm aware, that's not publicly released yet. Also, one other quick comment I want to mention. Our viewer Ergo Hawk said, with modern day military technology, is it possible for an accident to this scale to be able to happen? Does this not fit with a disinformation campaign to point the blame in the direction of Russia? Well, you know, first of all, this plane crashed for some reason. And various people and experts are saying we're looking at the data and we're looking at you know, the damage to the plane. It looks like, you know, missile, it looks like anti-aircraft fire. You know, I don't think somebody like Blanco Lirio is making a video as part of a disinformation campaign against Russia. There's all kinds of experts out there who've come out, you know, and companies experts who do this for a living, who consult with airlines, saying this is what we think happened. So that would have to be quite a conspiracy to involve all of these different actors who would seemingly go against their personal interest to come out and say this thing happened when it didn't happen. So again, I've just seen a lot of analysis from people who I think know what they're talking about, and they're saying this is what it looks like to us. And I don't think they have they would have a motivation to not say something that wasn't true about this. But I mean, I understand your question about certainly, it's a good question. How did this happen? I have not heard any kind of expert analysis saying yet, oh, it's impossible for this to happen. You know, if somebody had a good argument that this kind of missile would never hit that kind of plane, bring it. I'll let you know if I hear it. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard a single military expert say something like, oh, it's impossible for this missile to hit that plane where it was flying or something like that. So fair enough. I would think that'd be a pretty easy thing to show by people who know what they're talking about, but I haven't heard it yet. So anyways, thanks for writing in ErgoHawk. Hey, thanks to our moderators. I really appreciate our moderators for being here. Ruth Krafasi over on YouTube. Thank you. All of our YouTube mods. We had a bunch there earlier as well. And our moderators are why we can have chat rooms here. So they're awesome. They keep the chat civil and respectful. So thanks to our mods. Thanks to all of our YouTube moderators. Over there on Twitch, Big Ball of Yarn, David Green, McBritches, Surly Dev, all of our Twitch mods. Thank you. Thanks to Wall Street for subscribing on Twitch, by the way. And Ascertainment, thank you for the bits on Twitch. Ascertainment, very nice of you. Also, our Facebook moderators like K. Larry Body, Margaret Riley, Paul Anderson, Ronald Egnor, thanks so much. Also, hold on a second here. Also, Linda Belk and Larry on X, thanks for modding as well. I was going to... Oh, I just noticed we probably should not have the star thing. Somehow the star thing on Facebook is still posting even though the stars is malfunctioning. So we should probably not have that posting. The star thing about the stars. Mods, can we do something about that? Can we fix that? I just noticed that. The Facebook stars have been messed up for months and months and months. They'll never fix it. Thank you again to all of our Facebook mods and our mods on other platforms. I really appreciate it. Lindy Donato on Facebook says, aircraft erratic, pilots fighting it were true heroes. They were aiming to ditch in the sea, hence the life vest. That's what Lindy thinks. I don't think they were aiming to ditch in the sea because I believe the reporting said, I believe the Kazakhstan government said that the crew had called in to try to land at the airport in Aktau, was it? Aktau? They were trying to land there. They ended up landing about 2 miles away, crashing about 2 miles away. But they were flying over water. Maybe that's why they had the life jackets on. But a number of our viewers are saying that they think the pilots did a heroic job. Yeah, Euro News has an article saying pilots and crew are hailed as heroes. Oh, so just to be clear, here's an article that mentions this. I just saw this right now. And I know some people have left the stream. Euro News is reporting that government sources have told Euro News that the damaged aircraft was not allowed to land at any Russian airports, despite the pilot's request for an emergency landing, and it was ordered to fly across the Caspian Sea towards Aktau in Kazakhstan. According to the data, the plane's GPS navigation systems were jammed throughout its flight path above the sea. That's what Euro News is reporting, by the way. That's interesting report from them. Again, I don't know if that's true, that Russia would not let the plane land in Russia. It's a good question. But that's the first actual article I've seen mention that. Oh, Faytux posted about that like 10 hours ago. Yeah, so again, I don't know if that's true. Again, I know Euronews said that, That's unconfirmed right now. Certainly that'd be something you'd want to know. We talked about this earlier, did the Russian government not let that plane land in Russia? Don't know. Hey, thanks so much to Grevin Share for your support. Grevin says, given the damage to the plane's tail, the fact they were able to get close to the airport, let alone save half the passengers, is amazing. If they were not allowed to land in Russia, we don't know if that's true. They made it across the Caspian Sea. Thank you, Grevin Share, for your support. Hey, thanks everybody else who donated. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's really nice of you. Did I thank Ellen Zen? Hopefully I thanked Ellen Zen in Green Neck, our new member. But hopefully, I think I got everybody. But thank you for your support for the channel. What else? We're wrapping up here. We have a chat where you can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air. We do it on Discord. It's free. Check it out. The link is the same as to sign up for the free notifications, which I'd suggest signing up for. The mods can post that link in the chat. Thank you, moderators. And thanks to our Discord mods as well. Also, I want to remind people, if you watch us on YouTube, I would highly recommend turning on the YouTube notifications, give you an extra heads up of when we're live. But if you do turn on the YouTube notifications, if you want to do that, it's a little confusing. On YouTube, if you subscribe to the channel, make sure you have clicked the notifications bell and you click all notifications. So again, if you subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell and choose all notifications so you get all of our notifications. I want to thank our Twitch subscribers. Really appreciate you for supporting the channel. Wall Street and Shaggy, McBritches, Integrity Farmer Bob, Bogan04, Plutonium OC, and Blue Pip, thanks for subscribing. Zenial, Bad Toastery, Lazy, hold on a second here. Thanks for watching, Lazy Dong Service. And all of our other subscribers over there on Twitch, really appreciate your support. Facebook subscribers like Eve Richards, Robert Rial II, Lou Green, Kay Larry Body, Leanne Ticknor, Ronald Egnor, Margaret Riley. Thanks for subscribing over there. Thanks. Kay says she'll fix that, the stars post. I wish we could fix the stars, but I've tried for almost a year, I think. They won't fix it on Facebook. And all of our Facebook subscribers, thanks for watching and for supporting the channel. Really appreciate all of our subscribers over there. And our YouTube members like Captain Jerry Donnelly, Jose Gonzalez, Evelyn in Maine, John Flick, Wolf Howl, Captain Jerry Donnelly, Heidi, Kevin Graham, Thomas Darwin, Great Awakening, J.K. Senar, Roger Shoemaker, Jake from State Farm, Craig Doherty, Pell Smith, Doug Cahill, thanks for being YouTube members, Joel PM, Dark Cloud, Kiwi, Cherry Cola, KP, Saskia, June 0130, Heidi, Berry, Earth Citizen, and all of our other YouTube members. Thank you. And all of our other viewers. Thanks. Like Dennis McNeely. Thanks, Dennis, for watching over there on Facebook. Janet Carol Legg. Artist Caverlin. All of our other viewers. XMX. All right. Kent 6608 from Sweden. KP said there's audio transcript. Are you sure, KP? There's actual, I haven't seen a transcript of all the audio from the plane. KP says there's audio transcript and there's audio. I haven't seen it or heard it. Maybe it's out there, but I haven't seen it or heard it. All right. All right, we're wrapping up this stream. We might have more coverage later on. KP says partial audio, says KP. I haven't seen that. Yes, the black box reportedly has been found. All right, that is it. Maybe we'll do another stream on this, and I'm sure we'll do another stream soon on a different story as well. That is it for now. Thank you for watching our live update on the plane, that passenger plane that went down in Kazakhstan yesterday, and the reports that Russia accidentally shot it down with a surface-to-air missile. That is it for now. We will see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.